Hey, Lenin, why was Karl Marx bullied in writing class? Why? Because he couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, boy.
Hello, my name is Jack, and on this channel we explore the history and methods of secret police forces. Russia went bananas in the early 20th century with their revolutionaries, Rasputin, and a limp czar. The Okhrana protected the state, but paradoxically aided the revolutionaries. Nicholas II's weak leadership and his reliance on Rasputin to heal his son eroded public trust. With war, famine, and government mismanagement, Nicholas was caught with his dick in his hand. Attempts were made to quell dissent by establishing the State Duma, but the Russian people had enough. Nicholas abdicated in March 1917, marking the end of the Romanov dynasty. The Okhrana dissolved that same year. The succeeding provincial government, led by Alexander Kerensky, took control, and for a brief period, Russia lacked secret police breathing down everybody's necks, until the Bolsheviks decided they should be in charge. Under Vladimir Lenin's leadership, Red Terror punctuated a new era of state control. Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov was born in 1870 to a middle-class family. He had a comfortable upbringing with access to education, money, and social connections due to his daddy's government job. His older brother Alexander got involved with a radical group plotting to assassinate Tsar Alexander III. The failed attempt got Alexander killed, and their father died shortly thereafter. Lenin got involved in revolutionary activities during law school in St. Petersburg, which got the Okhrana's loins tingling. He got really into Karl Marx, especially Marx's critique on capitalism and conflict between capital and labor. The 1891 famine showed Lenin that the worse things got, the more likely the outbreak of proletarian revolution. Lenin's views aligned with Marx's vision to empower the proletariat, but he wanted an intentional overthrow of the Tsarist regime. Lenin envisioned a revolution instigated by a group of professional revolutionaries who would seize power and establish a dictatorship of the proletariat. However, Lenin didn't believe the proletariat were capable of initiating revolution themselves. Instead, Lenin fantasized about leading Russia to a socialist utopia. But in 1897, he was arrested for inciting a workers' revolt and exiled to Siberia. He used this time to publish works using different pseudonyms to evade the Okhrana. Obviously, Lenin is the one that stuck. He also married Nadezhda Krupskaya. After leaving Siberia, Lenin moved to Germany to ironically take advantage of free expression and rally support for a revolution. Upon his return to Russia in April 1917, Lenin capitalized on the discontent and chaos provoked by the First World War, seeking to overthrow Kerensky's government.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
The Bolsheviks' sexy slogan read, "Bread, Peace, Land." How bad do things have to be before basic necessities sound like luxury? October 25th, 1917, Lenin and the Bolsheviks seized key government buildings, including the Winter Palace. Out with the old, in with the new. Civil war erupted between Tsarist forces and the Bolsheviks. Despite the Bolsheviks' initial revolutionary fervor, their grip on power appeared tenuous at best. Lenin's government struggled to halt the German advance into former imperial territory. What ensued were food shortages, inflation, and rising crime. Lenin established a whole new government structure and formed the Council of People's Commissars, with himself as chairman. Initially, he revoked the previous regime's use of the death penalty, but it wasn't long before the Bolsheviks silenced opposition, suppressed non-Bolshevik press, and arrested members of opposing parties. A new secret police, the Cheka, was established on December 20th, 1917. The Cheka eradicated any counter-revolutionary activities. Initially, they were a small investigatory body of about 120 personnel with military-style uniforms and black leather. Operating from the Lubyanka building in Moscow, the Cheka expanded rapidly, setting up around 400 regional offices across the Soviet Union by 1918. It's not clear who first thought of the Cheka, Lenin or their first chief, Felix Dzerzhinsky. Dzerzhinsky was born into privilege like Lenin and pursued revolutionary ideals as a wee lad. He got arrested more than once and exiled for Siberian vacay until his release by the provincial government in 1917. He was like, "Thanks, I'll go join the Bolsheviks now," and participated in the October Revolution. As the Cheka's leader, Dzerzhinsky earned himself the moniker Iron Felix and was so trusted that he was responsible for Lenin's personal security. When civil war broke out, the Bolsheviks were against the Imperial White Army, several revolutionary groups, and individual republics seeking independence from Moscow. Great Britain, France, the United States, and Japan all backed anti-Bolshevik forces. What about Germany? Well, Russia already withdrew from the First World War by this point, and signed the Brest-Litovsk Treaty in 1918, ceding some previous territory to the Central Powers. So with Germany out of the way, for now, the Bolsheviks focused on the Civil War. Some of the battles took place from heavily armored trains. The Bolsheviks had the advantage of controlling Russia's urban centers and their super-duper cool factories and railways. This allowed them to outproduce and dislodge their enemies from Russia's countryside. By the war's end, military casualties numbered around 800,000, but the civilian toll is estimated in the millions due to exposure to the harsh elements, disease, and getting shot. Meanwhile, Lenin's attention pivoted towards a brutal campaign of Red Terror. Why though? Lenin was damn near assassinated in 1918. The Bolsheviks responded by targeting the bourgeoisie despite Lenin's earlier discouragement of violence. The Cheka exterminated those deemed unfit for Soviet society for their socioeconomic class, education, or profession. How ironic, since Lenin and Dzerzhinsky were both the crotch spawn of the bourgeoisie. The Cheka executed people by hanging, drowning, or firing squad. A bullet to the back of the head was preferred to disfigure the victim's face. Some Chekists got well lubricated or coked out before executions. More sadistic Chekists beat and mutilated prisoners or stuck needles under their fingernails. Prison cells were packed with naked people, standing in their own excrement. The cells were like putrid ovens in summer and freezing shitholes in winter. These methods are documented by historian Sergei Melgunov in his book Red Terror in Russia. His accounts derived from interviews with prisoners, survivors, and observers. He tells of some victims who were thrown into wide pits, doused with water, and left to freeze into human ice statues. Meanwhile, in Yekaterinburg, Tsar Nicholas II and his family were chilling in the Apatiev house near a battle between the Red and White armies. The Bolsheviks didn't want the White army getting their dirty little mitts on the Tsar, so on July 17, 1918, the royal family were woken in the middle of the night and executed by firing squad. When the Bolsheviks won the Civil War, the Cheka redirected their efforts to infiltrating rebel groups. The war left some regions afflicted with famine so bad that some people made sloppy out of Joe. There were foreign relief efforts, but the Cheka harassed aid workers and hindered any humanitarian assistance. Lenin introduced the new economic policy permitting limited free market activities to alleviate food shortages. He also dissolved the Cheka in 1922, replaced by the General Political Administration, or GPU, which was replaced later by the OGPU in 1923. Lenin's death in 1924 created a power vacuum, leading to an intense power struggle among his inner circle. Joseph Stalin emerged as the unlikely successor, but emerge he did. Meanwhile, the OGPU constructed prison camps, infiltrated Soviet institutions like the Red Army, and enforced Stalin's authority by executing or exiling dissenters. By 1925, Leon Trotsky was exiled to live in perpetual Taco Tuesday. Mikhail Frunze opposed Stalin's efforts against Lenin's former inner circle. Frunze aimed to safeguard the army from the secret police. However, he died during surgery. Make of that what you will. The OGPU extended operations beyond Russia by targeting Russian expats and opposition figures. They also enforced Stalin's first 5-year plan of collectivization and industrialization. The consequences of non-compliance were deportation and starvation. Kulaks, for example, were labeled bourgeois and made to either forfeit grain or be expelled from their villages and sent to gulags. The OGPU controlled vast networks of prison labor and oversaw public works projects, employing forced labor to construct the White Sea-Baltic Canal. And we're just getting started. That's basically it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Agents dismissed.